Assalam Alaikum students, welcome to the Bright Future Academy. Today we are going to discuss what is ATP, how it performs its functions, what is the structure of ATP and why it's known as the cell's major energy currency. इट्स एन इम्पोर्टेंट बोर्ड लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन और इसमें से कुछ इम्पोर्टेंट शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस भी आते हैं बोर्ड में और कुछ इम्पोर्टेंट एमसीक्यूज भी हैं, वो भी आपके साथ आज के इस लेक्चर में डिस्कस किए जाएंगे. सो एटीपी इज कॉल्ड एज adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate, its named is because of its structure. Because its structure consists of adenosine, adenine, ribose sugar and triphosphate groups. ATP, the major energy currency of all cells, is a nucleotide. Basically, ATP is a nucleotide, and nucleotide is a molecule which is composed of three basic components like nitrogenous bases, ribose sugar, and three phosphate groups. In our previous lecture, we have discussed about nucleotide in the Watson-Crick model of DNA. आपको उसका लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में मिल जाएगा. You can watch the complete video about nucleotide. Here's the important short question is functions of ATP. How ATP performs its functions. It's the main energy source for majority of cellular functions, means those functions that a cell performs like synthesis of macromolecules. Macro means large and are those molecules which have larger molecular weight like DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. You can also watch the Watson-Crick model of DNA from the link in the description below. RNA, ribonucleic acid and proteins. Because proteins are a larger molecule, you can also watch the lecture on proteins from the link in the description. What are proteins? What are the structure of proteins and classification of proteins, etc. Movement of molecules. Transmission of nerve impulses. Nerve impulses are generated in our body to convey the message throughout the body from brain to the muscles or from muscles to the brain. And active transport. Active transport is the movement of molecule across pressure gradient with the use of ATP energy. Exocytosis and endocytosis. Exocytosis is a process in which cell excretes the bulky materials or extra food particles in the form of vesicle from itself into the extracellular. And endocytosis. Endocytosis is a process in which cell intakes the bulky materials from outside to the inside. In all these processes, cells requires energy which is in the form of ATP. That's why it is known as the cell's major energy currency. Here's an also important short question. Define and draw the structure of ATP. The ability of ATP to store and release energy is due to its molecular structure. Because name of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is because of its structure. Each ATP molecule has three subunits like adenine, a double-ringed nitrogenous base, a ribose, 5-carbon sugar, and 3 phosphate groups in a linear chain. Because ATP is basically a nucleotide. As shown in the diagram, ATP consists of adenine nitrogenous base, ribose 5-carbon sugar, and phosphate group. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 corners are 5-carbon sugar that's known as ribose. Adenosine triphosphate ATP, adenosine diphosphate ADP, adenosine monophosphate AMP are basically the three kinds of ATP molecule. हम इनको भी डिटेल्ड फर्दर डिस्कस करते हैं कि ये AMP या ADP कैसे ATP में कन्वर्ट हो सकते हैं या how ATP can be converted into ATP or AMP. The next important board short question and MCQ is what is Tilde? The covalent bond connecting two phosphate. Covalent bond is that bond which is formed by the partially sharing of electrons between two atoms. Connecting two phosphates is indicated by the tilde and it's a high energy bond. As shown in the diagram, here indicated the tilde bond and it connects the three phosphate groups in a linear chain. The energy in this bond is released as it breaks and inorganic phosphate Pi gets separated from ATP. The breaking of one phosphate bond releases about 7.3 kilocalories per mole. When ATP reacts in the aqueous medium or with the water, it converts into ADP with removal of one inorganic phosphate and energy is released as 7.3 kilocalories per mole. You can simply say that when one tilde bond is breaks or one phosphate group separated from ATP, it converted into ADP. ADP because adenosine diphosphate. Di means 2 and one inorganic phosphate is get separated. As shown in the equation below, when ATP reacted in the aqueous medium with water, it's converted into ADP with the release of one phosphate group and energy in the form of 7.3 kilocalories per mole. In common energy reactions, only the outermost of two high energy bond breaks. When this happens, ATP becomes ADP, adenosine diphosphate, and one Pi is released. In some cases, ADP is further broken down to AMP with the release of one more inorganic phosphate group from it and form adenosine monophosphate. Mono means one and AMP consists only of one phosphate. As shown in the equation below, when ADP gets reacted in the aqueous medium with H2O, it converted into AMP with the release of one inorganic phosphate and energy as 7.3 kilocalories per mole. Cells constantly recycle ADP by recombining it with Pi to form ATP. The synthesis of ATP from ADP requires the expenditure of 7.3 kilocalories of energy per mole. जितनी एनर्जी ATP से ADP बनने में रिलीज होती है, सेम उतनी ही अमाउंट की एनर्जी ADP से ATP बनने के लिए भी रिक्वायर होती है. This energy is obtained from the oxidation of foodstuffs. When an individual intakes food into his body, the energy is released in the body by the oxidation of carbon hydrogen CH bonds that is present in the food. होप यू विल अंडरस्टैंड इट ईजिली. जितना डाटा मैंने स्लाइड्स में शेयर किया है आपने बस उतना ही प्रिपेयर करना है. इसके अलावा कोई एडिशनल चीज़ आपको ऐड करने की ज़रूरत नहीं. इट्स एन इंपॉर्टेंट बोर्ड लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन एंड यू मस्ट हैव टू ड्रॉ इट्स डायग्राम इन योर पेपर. शॉर्ट क्वेश्चन में भी अगर आपसे पूछा जाए डिफाइन एंड ड्रॉ द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ ATP, देन यू ऑल्सो मस्ट हैव टू ड्रॉ द डायग्राम of ATP. The one important MCQ in it is how much energy is released when one phosphate group is separated from ATP. The answer is 7.3 kilocalories per mole. Second important MCQ is what is tilde and what is its sign. And the third important MCQ is ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. If you like the video, press the bell icon, do subscribe, like and share the videos and give your feedback in the comment section below. Stay tuned, keep watching.